Long ago in the city of Argos, there lived two brothers, Cleobus and Baton. Sufficient in wealth and strong in body, each had won prizes in the games. There came a time in Argives where the Feast of Hera took place, and their mother required passage to the temple. The oxen could not be brought up from the fields in time to carry her car to the temple, and so Cleobus and Baton submitted themselves to the yoke and carried their mother over 45 furlongs. That's 5.6 miles or 9.01 kilometers for you youngins. Upon their arrival, the Argive men celebrated the strength of the youths, while the women praised their mother for raising such strong and faithful sons. Their mother rejoiced at both the deed itself and the story that spread throughout the land, and prayed before the goddess's shrine to gift her sons with that which is best for men to receive. After the feasting party had offered sacrifice and eaten, the young men lay down to sleep within the temple itself and never rose again. The Argives made statues of their likenesses and offered them in Delphi, for the two men had proven themselves excellent and been gifted with a happy life. Now me, I would have gotten them a gift card, but that's why I stink at Christmas. There is a purpose to this story, but first we need to bring it back around to My Little Pony and the episode Amending Fences. So much of the conflict in this episode is based around the assumption that Moondancer is unhappy with her life. And these assumptions are proven correct, but I think the message got jumbled. Twilight is basing her assumption off of Moondancer's socialization, never asking if the mare in question might enjoy privacy. After all, not everyone holds the same events in equal value. Remember that shot of Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy at the butterfly migration? Guess which one is actually having fun? Yet while Rainbow might be scowling, would you describe her as unhappy? Maybe in that moment, but what about overall? Despite all the times the main six have stumbled or fallen, would you say that they're overall happy? What makes them so? They have such differing tastes and interests, some conflicting, and yet each one seems to be enjoying their shared lives. Because that's the thing about happiness. No one can ever offer an all-encompassing definition of what it really means. Even the U.S. Declaration of Independence asserts that people are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We cannot guarantee happiness because it means something different for each person. But oh, do we try to sell it. So often we try to market happiness if you buy this product, earn this much money, or look this photogenic. We may envy people with such a status in life, but looking back, I can't recall a eulogy that celebrated property value or a large bank account. That, my friends, is because I think there's a little bit of the classical view still alive in our culture today. For the ancient Greeks, those who would have raised Cleobus and Baton, happiness was not an emotion. It was a judgment upon how well you had lived your life. To quote Herodotus, "Call no man happy until he is dead." If that sounds familiar, then I wager that you've played Borderlands 2. You played as Zero, and you unlocked his Many Must Fall ability, which includes this very quote. See what I mean that ancient ideas still find new and curious forms of expression?
I vanish.
And the story of these two young men exemplifies that attitude. It wasn't fun to run 45 furlongs carrying a cart with their mother in tow. Actually, the fact that it was their mother probably made it worse. Bet she criticized the whole way. You're running too fast, don't crowd your brother, mind that pothole. You know how moms get. And though the two men were celebrated upon their arrival, they had to be exhausted. So exhausted that some versions of that story have them dropping dead upon arrival. Yet Cleobus and Baton were honored as living happy lives not for their final hours, but for the virtue they exemplified. Because to the Greeks, a happy life was not devoted simply to the pursuit of pleasure. Pleasure is temporary and often short-lived. It can evaporate in a moment of tragedy. Some derive pleasure from other people's pain, but no sane human would describe that as a happy life. Here is where a classic Greek parable and a children's cartoon intersect, with this clip.
You planning on being a professor or something? No. So you're just studying. Can I go now?
It may not seem like it at first, but consider what Moondancer is saying. All those hours studying, all that reading, which can be a pleasure in and of itself. But what's the goal? What is she working towards? Even she can't say because she's studying for the sake of study. She's adrift, listless. She can't find her happiness because she has no clear idea of what she's working towards, no virtue to guide her. The Greek viewpoint, which I support, is that a happy life is one focused towards the pursuit of virtue. It can't be measured in wealth or popularity, only by what you put forth.
You simply have to seize the gift of life.
Oh, God.
Make a contribution.
Oh, God.
No matter how small.
Oh, God.
You simply have to have led a life that wasn't totally egocentric, vain, and self-serving.
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
That then begs the question, what is virtue? It's one of the oldest questions in human history.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
And to be governor of California before resetting my own movies. Okay, serious now. Take a look at this painting, The School of Athens. Not only is it one of Raphael's greatest works, it highlights the differing viewpoints. Check out those two dudes in the center. On the left in red is Plato. He was so enamored by the structure of the world that he concluded it had to have been created with intelligence and purpose, hence the mathematical nature.
Numbers do not lie. Politics and poetry, promises, these are lies. Numbers are as close as we get to the handwriting of God. Would you give me a moment?
So any question of morality or virtue could be expressed through mathematics, a view that many still hold.
Governing dynamics, gentlemen.
Because the best result would come from everyone in the group doing what's best for himself and the group.
On the right and in blue is Aristotle, who is holding his book Ethics and points outwards towards the world itself and all that can be perceived there. He doubted that could be boiled down to mathematics. He was more an advocate of blending reflection with action, that happiness itself could be attained by finding the balance between intellect and pleasure, and this could be found through reason and contemplation. The life according to reason is best and pleasantest, since reason more than anything else is man. This life, therefore, is also the happiest. Despite the differing views, I think both these schools would say that Moondancer was making a mistake. All that knowledge was flowing into her, but not being directed towards a purpose. If tragedy were to happen, that knowledge would vanish. But now she's taken the first steps towards reaching outward. By stepping outside her comfort zone, she's allowing new ideas and interests to take shape, guided in part by her friends. Because friendship is vital, I never want to dismiss it. I just don't think that Twilight is right to assume that happiness begins and ends with friendship. Going over all this, I realize I'm equal parts envious and horrified at the idea of a cutie mark. On the envious side, who wouldn't want a helping sign to point us down the right path? The horror from the idea that one is locked into a set path without the ability to reflect and choose the actions they want to take. Because at the end of the day, I think happiness has more value when you have to look for it. When you have to ask yourself what holds real meaning. What keeps you going even when happiness seems far outside the moment? We look for that answer for most of our lives, and the ultimate test is whether or not we can look back and say, yeah, I did good. I'm Silver-Quill, and I found a lot of happiness in making these videos, even if it's not always a smooth ride. I hope you're all finding paths to your own happiness. Thanks for watching.